All right, so today we're going to talk about why banks and credit bureaus actually want you to have bad credit. And, you know, it's pretty far-fetched idea that the actual people who are reporting the items on your credit are the ones that want you to have bad credit. Well, in all of my years of going to school, and most people who have gone to school, whether it's they just graduated high school or went all the way through college, they don't get a class on credit. When I was in 5th grade, they taught me how to manage a stock portfolio and manage my finances, but never once have we ever had a class on credit. And, you know, 5th grade is a pretty young age to learn about finances,
Right.
but how come even in college they don't talk about credit? We could go into all this conspiracy theory stuff. The fact of the matter is, the banks and the credit bureaus profit from consumers with less than perfect credit.
Right.
And the procedures and policies they have in place are really unfair to the consumers to get information removed from their credit report when trying to do it themselves or trying to dispute through the credit bureau's online disputing system. The bureaus profit every single time that you get a credit inquiry. What that means is if you're applying for an auto loan, the company that you're applying for the auto loan with has to make a payment to the credit bureau to obtain your credit report. It's usually about between $15 to $60 depending on if it's a 3 bureau report, if it's a 1 bureau report. And if you have great credit, you only need one inquiry. You're only going to go to one bank and get approved at the best rate, at the lowest payment, and at the terms that you can afford, as well as being able to negotiate a better price at the dealership, especially if you get financing through your bank and they give you a blank check to write to any dealership you want. So when you have good credit, you only need one credit inquiry for credit cards, car loans, mortgage loans. If you have bad credit, I know some of you guys have already seen it, but on your credit report, you'll go apply for a car loan. They'll shop you at 30 different lenders.
Right.
Now, those 30 different inquiries, since they're within a 45-day period, technically they only count as one inquiry against your credit score. But the bureau gets paid 30 times, once by each lender. And if you look at it from a financial standpoint, and you know, being an investor or look at it like that, it's huge money. You would rather have someone that's paying you 30 times than someone that's paying you once.
Right.
And just yesterday I looked at someone's credit report, 66 inquiries.
Right.
They would rather have that than a guy with 2 inquiries. So the bureaus also profit by selling your information to banks and lenders who market you for pre-approved offers.
Right.
You're not actually approved when you receive those offers. You fit in a demographic.
Right.
The bank will say, this is the lowest credit score that we will approve on this credit card, right? For their gold card.
Right.
It'll be a 620 or something. And they'll say, I want the names and addresses of everyone that fits within this demographic. They make $30,000 to $60,000 a year. They have a 620 to 640 credit score. Those people are pre-approved for getting the lowest or the highest rate on the credit card. So the bureaus are actually marketing companies that collect information about consumers and resell it to banks. And they're not as powerful as they like to think.
Right.
They have a lot of power because they control what's reported on your credit, but there was laws in place called the Fair Credit Reporting Act that protects consumers against certain violations with the credit bureaus. And that's where we go in and we dispute the information, and we're trying to force the credit bureaus to update or remove information from the credit report. So they're making a lot of money. I mean, last year I think it was Equifax made $5 billion. It's a lot of money, and consumers are taking a pretty big hit. So the banks profit, and they want consumers to have negative credit because they can charge higher interest rates. I mean, that's huge. The difference between a 2% auto loan and a 24% auto loan over 5 years can be enormous.
Right.
I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars depending on your loan amount. Banks can charge you higher fees, whether it's credit card fees, fees to approve your loan, closing costs, and they can also make you do higher down payments, which lowers the risk on whatever you're purchasing. So you buy a car, they want you to put $10,000 down instead of $0.
Right.
Well, then they already have $10,000 in equity in that car. You miss a few payments, they're going to repo you.
Right.
And so the banks and the bureaus are heavily profiting from consumers with negative credit, and that's where we come in.
Right.
Because we want to alleviate some of this stress.
Right.
And the banks and the bureaus hate credit repair companies.
Right.
They will tell you to not work with a credit repair company. The credit bureaus have each created their own online dispute portals. But when you sign up and dispute your items through those portals, you have to check the box that says, I agree to the terms and conditions of the credit bureaus, which it actually takes away your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The main one being the right to re-report. So if you dispute online, the bureaus legally can re-report any items that were deleted back on your credit with no consequences.
Right.
Where if it's through our process and it's deleted from your credit and it does for whatever reason re-report, then it's a huge violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and we use it to negotiate other items to be removed from the credit report.
Right.
So all in all, you know, they're making a ton of money, and they don't like us because when we're disputing to the bureaus, it takes time and it costs them money to process our disputes. Granted, they outsource everything. It goes to India, Jamaica, and the Philippines. And when they open the disputes, most of them go through a computer system called OCR, Optical Character Recognition, which it's never seen by a human or interpreted by a human, and it just doesn't get the attention that it's legally supposed to get. So when we dispute, we send our letters in an ink that can't be read by the computers. We're sending it in ways that it's not going to get sucked up and included in the computer system. We want to get it in front of a human, even if it's a human that's overseas. In my opinion, it's still better to get it to a human, and that's why we have such a good deletion ratio. It's because we are getting it to a human. And you know, even more advanced tactics, if you know exactly where it's going overseas and you write something on your dispute in the language of where it's going, like thank you or I appreciate you, it's actually pretty effective. Right? So like Philippines, they speak Tagalog. Mahal Kito means I love you. That's all I know. But if you do write in their language, they appreciate it. You know, they don't understand our credit system. They don't know how it works. They've never been taught, just like anyone else. So the banks, what they do to try and push out credit repair companies is it's nearly impossible to get a bank account as a credit repair company. It is nearly impossible to get an account that processes credit cards for a credit repair company. And so they're doing everything in their power to push credit repair companies out so they can continue to make as much money as possible. So that's how the banks and bureaus are profiting off credit reports, and that's why they actually want consumers to have bad credit. Any questions?